Hey guys, it's Will here, and tonight I want to talk about Primarchs. Now, as you've seen, probably, if you've kind of been on GW's news feed or anything sort of around the rumours section of anything to do with the hobby lately, Mortarion is coming. Plastic Demon Primarch Mortarion for 40k will be here probably by the end of September, I reckon. Yeah, the model has divided a little bit of opinion. I think some people really like it, some people not such a fan, but that's beside the point. This is significant because it's a third Primarch. I think a third Primarch this year. I'm not quite sure how long ago Magnus came out, but it's only really been a few months since we saw Guilliaman launched, so yeah, third Primarch in a year. And at this point you're starting to think, okay, they really are, committed to doing a number of the Primarchs for 40k rather than just the Horus Heresy. I think they've seen that people like the Horus Heresy Primarchs, people who don't even necessarily want to use them in game, either because they don't play Horus Heresy or they don't collect that faction, are buying multiple Primarchs as collector's pieces, and people are starting to do that in 40k now as well. I know guys who have brought several Primarchs that they don't really use, they just like to have the model and paint it. So yeah, there's certainly money in this, and that plus obviously the fact they've done 3 already makes me think GW are going to be doing a fair few more of these, which then begs the question, will they be doing all of them? Probably not, because some of them are meant to be definitely 100% dead. If so, which ones can we expect to see? And so what I've done is I've done a little bit of digging around into the backstory, research online, various sources and supplements to find out which Primarchs we can expect to see. And I've broken this down into 2 halves. Tonight I'm going to do Chaos. Probably a week or so down the line, going to do the Loyalist Primarchs. Doing Chaos first, because firstly, Chaos need a little bit of love. They always seem to get second best to the Imperium, so let's give them a fair turn. And secondly, to be honest, these are easier to do. I think it's a bit more clear what the fate of some of these is. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to go from the ones from the bottom, the Primarch I least expect to see, right up to the top, the one I'm pretty confident that we will see at some point. But I have no insider knowledge in GW. This is based purely off applying logic to the existing background as to who we might see. So right at the bottom, Konrad Kurz. It's pretty clear that this guy is dead. He was killed by an Imperial assassin. He's been dead for 10 millennia, and there's no logical reason why that would suddenly not apply. He's dead. He's not going to be coming back. Next up, Horus. Somewhat similar fate. He's dead, killed by the Emperor, but I've put him only slightly higher than Kurz, just because if they were going to resurrect someone from the Chaos side who was definitely dead, Horus would probably be the more interesting candidate than Kurz, but I don't think they'll do it. He was killed by the Emperor. Once the Emperor kills you, you're dead. It's dead is dead. Then we've got Alpharius. Now, there's a few different sources that contradict a little bit on what really happened to Alpharius, and this is partly due to the nature of Alpharius being much more into sneakiness and disguising himself as a regular Marine. Most of the Alpha Legion claim to be Alpharius because they are all an extension of his will, but both Guilliaman and Dawn both have a claimed kill on a being that claimed to be Alpharius and seemed to be at various different points. So Guilliaman has killed someone that he thought was Alpharius, and so has Dawn. So it seems likely that he's dead, but you never really know with Alpharius. And the other thing is what you do for the model, because if he's meant to be able to disguise himself as just an ordinary Alpha Legion Marine, why not just make an ordinary Alpha Legion Marine? Because that's what he looks like. So not really an easy one to do. Now we're getting into the ones that are a bit more reasonable. You could expect to see these at some point, maybe. Lorgar, Primarch of the Word Bearers. He is alive. He has ascended to Demon Princehood, as have all of the definitely living Primarchs, Chaos Primarchs anyway, but he's not been seen for a very long time. He's, I think, on some sort of shrine world to Chaos in the Eye of Terror, meditating on the nature of Chaos. He's not really had anything active to do for so long that it would be a surprise if he suddenly came out of the woodwork now. But, you know, he's alive, and if they want to do a good number of these guys, he's certainly a possibility. There's lots of cool things you could do, and certainly lots of unresolved issues there. Next up, I reckon the third most likely one we'll see is Perturabo, Primarch of the Iron Warriors. He, like many of his brothers, is alive and a demon prince, and he has been mentioned reasonably recently from... I haven't actually read this as a first-hand source, so I've kind of got this from second-hand information, but he has been helping Abaddon as of the Black Legion supplement. So he's alive, he's active, and the only reason he's not higher than this is because I think two of his brothers are more likely to show up, and also there's less kind of artwork out there from what I can see of what he really looks like. It's kind of, what does an Iron Warriors, who don't tend to have too much in the way of demonic stuff, what does an Iron Warriors Demon Primarch look like? You know, you kind of more think of demons very organic, whereas Iron Warriors sort of special stuff tends to be more mechanical. I don't know, I just can't visualise it in the same way as I can some of the others, but certainly a possibility. Next up we got Angron. Now Angron has had rules for Apocalypse back in 4th or 5th edition, I think, so he's definitely someone that GW have already kind of dealt with in the past, but there's no current rules for him, and there was never a model. It was, I think you had to custom make it your own, make it yourself, but he's definitely alive. He's definitely a demon prince. I mean, he was barely human to start with. And he has been active the first Armageddon War, so we're talking back before Ghazghkull's invasion of Armageddon. Angron led his own invasion, which the Grey Knights and the Space Wolves cleared up. So I think he's very, very likely. He's, it definitely sell. There's a lot of Khorne players out there. You can kind of sort of see a bit more. He's probably a bit more bulky than a Bloodthirster. In terms of what the model would look like, and I think a definite possibility. Now, the last one, the Primarch I think we will see next, if they're doing Chaos Primarchs in plastic, is going to be Fulgrim. He's alive. He has a big issue as well, Guilliaman. So Fulgrim thought he'd killed Reboot Guilliaman, but he was placed in stasis, and as we all know, has now, with the help of the Inari, been brought back to life and is very much active. And I can imagine, and I think it's even been cited in the Rise of the Primarch book, that Fulgrim's not happy about this. He's got a real issue to grind here. And I think, there's certainly a good story to be had there. Because with a lot of these big characters, GW likes to bring them out with some story to what's going on. You know, Guilliaman was the climax of the Gathering Storm. Magnus was the climax of the Fenris one, whatever they did there. And Mortarion is now coming out right at the end of the Conor campaign, so there's definitely a story to be had to go along with that, and I think it's pretty well established what he looks like as well. There's some quite good artwork. There's a Horus Heresy novel with him on the cover already in his demon state, so he's definitely a guy that you could see. And also Slaanesh needs some love. I mean, Slaanesh always wants some love, but Slaanesh needs some love because, Tzeentch have got two large models in the last few years. They've got Magnus and they've got the Lord of Change and Fate Weaver two-part kit. Khorne have had the Bloodthirster, and they've had the Khorne Mower, the Big Old Lord of Skulls, and lastly, Nurgle are now getting some really nice stuff as well, with the starter box models and big plastic Mortarion, and that new Age of Sigmar Slug Rider guy that's coming out next week. There's a lot going on for all of the other monotheistic Chaos Legions, so I think it's only fair that Slaanesh gets something. So, that's that. I think Fulgrim will be the next Demon Primarch we see. Stay tuned in a week or so, hoping to put out part 2 of this, which will be dealing with the Imperial Primarchs. A little bit more of a grey area, some more contradictions there, so it just needs a bit of time for me to iron out my theories, but yeah, stay tuned for that. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.